There is a certain kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from lack of sleep. It comes from waiting. Waiting for someone to finally understand you. Waiting for an apology that never arrives. Waiting for life to calm down on its own. Waiting for the right person, the right timing, the right sign, to give you permission to start living the way you know you're meant to. A part of you has always secretly believed that at some point, someone would show up and make it all easier. A partner who finally sees your worth and picks you. A mentor who notices your potential and opens all the right doors. A family member who suddenly wakes up, takes responsibility, and repairs the past. A mystical twist of fate that rescues you from the job, the bills, the emptiness. You imagine this future moment when everything aligns and you finally get to exhale and become who you were meant to be. And in the meantime, you wait. Carl Jung would look at this and say, you have projected your own inner strength, your own inner savior, onto other people and onto the future. You are not weak for doing this. You learned it early. You learned it to survive. But the day your life truly begins to change, the day you become quietly, deeply unstoppable, is the day you accept a terrifying, liberating truth. No one is coming to save you. Not in the way you imagined, not in the fairy tale sense, not in a way that lets you keep your old patterns and still get a new life. And when that truth really lands, not as a cold slogan, but as a lived realization, something shifts at the core of your being. You stop waiting for a rescuer and you become responsible for your own rescue. That is the turning point. Before we go deeper, pause with me for a moment. If there's a part of you that has been waiting for someone to come fix everything, but another part of you is whispering, I think it has to start with me. Type the word ready in the comments, just that one word. You don't have to explain anything. You're simply anchoring this moment inside yourself. I am ready to stop waiting and start choosing myself. And if you're new here, take a second to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss the next message your soul might need. At the end of this video, a playlist will pop up on the end screen. Save it for tonight as you fall asleep. Your body will rest, but your subconscious will keep listening. Now, let's talk about why you were taught to wait for a savior, why this belief is breaking down now, and how accepting that no one is coming to save you is not the end of hope. It's the beginning of real power. How you learned to wait for rescue. You were not born waiting. As a child, when you were hungry, you cried. When you were afraid, you reached out. When you were curious, you explored. You were wired to move toward life. But then, life happened. Maybe the adults around you were busy, overwhelmed, emotionally unavailable. Maybe you were told, stop overreacting when you had real needs. Maybe you learned that asking for help brought anger, guilt, or dismissal. Maybe you lived through things so big, no one around you knew how to respond. So your nervous system drew conclusions. If I need less, I get hurt less. If I disappear, I cause less trouble. If I'm strong, quiet, grateful, maybe they'll stay. And under all of that, a deeper belief took root. Someone out there, one day, will finally see me and give me what I never got here. Jung would call this a kind of inner myth, a savior archetype living in your psyche. You may have attached this myth to different people over the years. The parent you wished would change. The partner you hoped would finally choose you. The boss you hoped would recognize your worth. The friend you hoped would finally show up the way you show up for them. And every time someone disappointed you, another layer of waiting formed. Okay, not them. Maybe the next one. Maybe the next season. Maybe when I'm thinner, smarter, calmer, more healed, more successful. You kept outsourcing your turning point to a future moment. On the surface, this looked like hope. Underneath, it kept you chained. Because as long as you were waiting for someone else to save you, you didn't fully step into the one role that was always yours. The one who chooses, the one who acts, the one who protects you, the one who reparents you, the one who builds your life from the inside out. The quiet heartbreak, realizing no one is coming. There is a day, and you might be in it right now, when this belief starts to crack. You look at the person you hoped would change for you, and you realize they're not changing. You look at your workplace and realize no one is going to magically stop exploiting your kindness. You look at your family and realize the apology you've been rehearsing receiving in your head may never come in the form you want. You look at your messages, your notifications, and realize no one is going to knock on your door and hand you a completely different life. At first, this feels like grief, a grief so deep it almost bends you in half. Because you are not just grieving people, you're grieving the fantasy that someone else would one day make everything finally feel safe. Jung would say this is the death of an illusion. And the ego hates it. The ego says, this is too harsh. I can't accept that it's on me. I don't want that kind of responsibility. So it tries to bargain. Maybe if I just wait a little longer. Maybe if I overgive a little more. Maybe if I fix myself more, they'll show up. Maybe if I don't make any decisions, life will eventually move me on its own. But somewhere deeper, beneath the bargaining and fear, another voice speaks. It doesn't shout. It doesn't threaten. It simply states, no one is coming in the way you imagined, and that doesn't mean you're doomed. It means you are being invited into your own power. That sentence is not warm at first. It feels cold, almost brutal. But if you let it sit, if you stop running from it, it begins to change shape. Because if no one is coming, you are free to stop waiting. And when you stop waiting, you can finally start. Let's pause here. If what I'm describing feels like the exact edge you're standing on, if you feel the grief of realizing no one is coming to fix everything, but also the faint sense that maybe this is a turning point, take a slow breath in and out. You are not heartless for accepting this truth. You are not cold for letting go of certain fantasies. You are stepping into reality, and reality is the only place your power can actually work. If this is resonating, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, so you don't miss the next time your soul needs language for what it's quietly going through. And remember, when you're about to sleep tonight, there's a playlist on the end screen you can hit play on. Let it run softly as you drift off. Your body will rest, and your deeper mind will keep integrating this shift. Now, let's talk about what changes the moment you truly accept that no one is coming to save you. Self-pity dissolves, and self-respect takes its place. When you live in the story that someone else should have saved you, your life becomes a courtroom. Every day your mind is presenting evidence. They wronged me. They didn't show up. They used me. They never asked how I was doing. And much of that may be true. But Jung would point out something crucial. If your identity becomes the one who wasn't saved, your entire life organizes around that role. You end up replaying the same scenes, choosing partners who need saving, because you're familiar with rescue, not reciprocity, staying in jobs where you're undervalued, hoping someone will finally notice your overwork and promote you, showing up as the therapist in friendships, hoping that if you are endlessly there for others, someone will eventually be there for you in the same way. And every time that doesn't happen, your sense of being the one no one saves deepens. When you accept that no one is coming to save you, something radical happens inside. Self-pity begins to lose its grip, not because your story wasn't painful, it was, but because you stop using your pain as proof that you are powerless. You start using it as proof that you're still here. You begin to ask different questions, questions of a different woman entirely. Given that no one is coming to fix this for me, what is one small thing I can do today to move myself one step out of this pattern? What boundary have I been waiting for someone else to enforce, that I actually need to enforce for myself? What conversation have I been hoping they start that I need to start for my own peace? Self-pity says, I can't because of them. Self-respect says, I will, even if they never change. That shift is the heartbeat of your unstoppable era. You stop bargaining with reality and start working with it. The fantasy that someone will save you keeps you negotiating with what is. You say things like, if they really loved me, they would. If this job really cared, they would. If the universe really wanted me to succeed, it would. You live in the distance between what's happening and what you think should be happening. That distance is agony. Jung would say the psyche suffers when it refuses to relate to reality as it is. Acceptance is not approval. It is contact with the truth. The day you stop expecting the past to change, stop expecting people to be who they've shown you they are not, stop expecting life to play by rules it has never followed, you free up enormous energy that was locked up in resentment in the courtroom of "this shouldn't have happened" becomes available for movement. You can finally say, "This shouldn't have happened, and yet it did. This person shouldn't have treated me like that, and yet they did. I shouldn't have had to go through this alone, and yet I did. Now what?" Now what is not a cold question, it's a creative one. It is the question of someone who has walked through fire and is now looking at the ashes, not with helplessness, but with the first sparks of authorship. You don't have to like reality to work with it. You just have to stop pretending it's something else. When you stop bargaining, maybe if I wait, maybe if I hope, maybe if I fix myself more, they will, you start building. Maybe slowly, maybe shakily, but building, not begging. You learn to reparent yourself. Accepting that no one is coming to save you does not mean you didn't deserve to be saved. You did, especially as a child. You deserved protection, attention, care, soothing, guidance. You were supposed to be nurtured, not neglected, seen, not minimized, held, not left alone with storms too big for you. Jung understood that a core part of healing is reconnecting with the child within, the part of you who still waits at the window for someone to come and finally do right by her. When you accept no one is coming in the way you needed back then, you're not abandoning that child again. You are, for the first time, walking up to her yourself. You are sitting beside her, looking her in the eyes and saying, "They should have come. They didn't, but I am here now. And I am not leaving." Reparenting yourself looks like feeding your body when you would normally ignore hunger, putting yourself to bed when you want to scroll numb at 3 a.m., speaking to yourself in a tone you wish adults had used with you, protecting your time and energy from people who treat you carelessly. None of that is glamorous. It doesn't look like being unstoppable, but it is the deepest, most unstoppable thing you can do. Because every time you show up for yourself in ways no one did, you prove to your nervous system, "I am not helpless anymore. I have me." The moment your system starts to believe, even if no one else comes through, "I will," your dependence on chaos, crumbs, and rescue begins to die. You become dangerous to every pattern that relied on you abandoning yourself. You become more selective, not more bitter. There is a counterfeit version of "no one is coming to save me" that turns people cold. It sounds like, "Fine, I don't need anyone. Everyone disappoints. I'll never rely on anyone again." This is not strength. It's trauma in armor. Jung would call this identification with the defense. You mistake your wall for yourself. True acceptance that no one is coming to save you doesn't mean you shut everyone out. It means you stop expecting people to do the job of your own self. You stop turning partners into parents. You stop turning bosses into judges of your worth. You stop turning friends into emotional crutches that carry responsibilities that are yours. And instead, you become selective. You don't ask, "Who will save me?" You ask, "Who can walk beside me while I save myself? Who respects my responsibility for my own life? Who adds nourishment rather than becoming my only source?" Your relationships become lighter and deeper at the same time. You're not clinging from desperation. You're choosing from stability. The paradox Jung would appreciate is this: the more you accept that no one is coming to save you, the more open you actually become to healthy support. Because you know the difference now between help that honors your autonomy and help that keeps you dependent. You're not using people as life rafts anymore. You're sharing a path with your feet firmly on your own ground. Midway check-in. If you can feel, even faintly, that something in you is tired of being rescued badly and is ready to be responsible beautifully, just notice that. You don't have to do everything today. You don't have to flip a switch and become a new person overnight. This is a slow reclamation. If this is landing for you, take a second to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss the next time your heart needs these reminders. And don't forget, at the end of this video, that playlist on the end screen is there for you. Play it softly as you fall asleep. Let it do some of the heavy lifting for your subconscious. Now, let's talk about what unstoppable really looks like through Jung's eyes. Unstoppable doesn't mean you never fall apart again. Unstoppable in the ego's language sounds like never cry, never doubt, never feel weak. Always know what to do. That is not the kind of power we're talking about. Jung's version of being unstoppable has nothing to do with pretending you're invincible. It's about this. You might fall, but you no longer abandon yourself on the floor. You might break down, but you no longer treat that breakdown as proof that you're doomed. You might still feel loneliness, grief, fear, but you no longer translate those feelings into "I need someone else to come fix me immediately." Instead, you respond differently. "I'm overwhelmed. Okay, I will slow things down and care for myself. I'm heartbroken. Okay, I will let myself grieve and also protect myself from running back to what hurt me. I feel lost. Okay, I will take one honest step rather than freezing for another year." Unstoppable means life can hit you and hit you again, and you might have days where you curl up and cry, but you have decided, deep in the structure of who you are, "I am not quitting on myself, no matter who else quits on me." You are no longer waiting to be picked. You have picked you. This doesn't make you immune to pain. It makes you faithful to yourself in pain. And someone who is faithful to themselves over and over is, in a very real sense, unstoppable. Because there is no longer a price anyone can pay you with attention, love, status, or fear that will convince you to betray yourself completely again. You start building a life, not a performance. Waiting to be saved keeps you performing. You perform to be chosen. You perform to be promoted. You perform to be loved. You wear masks. The always available friend, the always strong daughter, the always competent employee, the always understanding partner. You hope that if you carry everyone's burdens, someone will lift yours. You hope that if you are endlessly low maintenance, someone will finally take care of you. But your performance becomes a prison. When you accept that no one is coming to save you, you realize something sharp and freeing. If I'm the one who has to live this life, I'm done building it to impress people who aren't even inside my skin. You stop asking, "What will they think?" and start asking, "What happens to me if I keep living like this?" You become curious about what actually fits you. What pace of life can my nervous system sustain? What kind of work doesn't make me dread waking up? What kind of love feels safe in my body, not just exciting in my mind? What routines, friendships, environments bring me back to myself instead of pulling me away? Jung would say you are moving from a persona-driven life to a self-driven life. You're no longer crafting an image to lure in saviors. You're crafting a reality you can inhabit with your whole being. It might look like small changes at first, rearranging your space so it soothes you, saying no to one obligation that always drains you, trying one small habit that honors your body, putting your creative work into the world, even if it's imperfect. But over time, these small choices accumulate, and one day you look around and realize this life might not look spectacular to others, but it feels like mine with a capital M. That feeling is worth more than any rescue. If you're still here, this part is for you. Maybe you're listening to this with tears in your eyes because you are tired. Tired of waiting. Tired of hoping they'll change. Tired of rehearsing speeches you never say. Tired of handing your life over to maybe one day? You might be scared that accepting no one is coming to save you means you'll have to do everything alone forever. But that's not what this really means. It means that from this point on, you will never again place your entire life in someone else's hands and call it love. You will never again wait at the emotional doorway of someone's inconsistency and call it destiny. You will receive help, love, support, guidance, but you will not confuse them with your spine. Your spine is yours. Your choices are yours. Your responsibility to your own soul is yours. No one can take that from you, and no one can carry it for you. Jung would say that this acceptance is the beginning of individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, not who you were trained to be. You become unstoppable, not when life stops being hard, but when you stop abandoning yourself in response to how hard it is. If some part of you knows, I am scared, but I am ready to stop waiting for a savior and start standing up for myself, then let this moment count. If you haven't already, type the word ready in the comments, just that one word, so your future self can scroll back one day and see the exact moment you stopped living as the one waiting to be saved and started living as the one who chose to rise. And if this spoke to your heart, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss the next time your soul needs a message like this. When you're about to sleep tonight, don't just scroll away. The playlist is at the end of this video. It will pop up on the end screen. Hit play on that playlist and let it run in the background as you drift off. Your body will rest, but your subconscious will keep listening, keep healing, keep choosing you, keep quietly dissolving the belief that someone else is coming to save you and replacing it with a deeper truth. You are not alone. You have you. Save the playlist, fall asleep with it, and let these messages sink from your mind into your soul until one day you wake up and realize you didn't just stop waiting. You started building, and that was the day you became unstoppable.